Hello, I'm Professor Lovo, and today we are going to be going into Diasporic Contemporaries of Spirituality and the Effacement of Matter. Now, what we're going to do with this lecture is we're going to utilize the terminology of birth and birth work to explain the phenomenon of spiritualization. If you aren't familiar with the term, spiritualization simply means to bring spirit, which is in a quantum reality, in a quantum physical unitary system that we live in. Spirit, which you could call light, you could call sound, is just vibration. And there are multiple octaves, just like in a music note or a musical position. And quantum physics has proven that there are 11 different dimensions that spirit, above the third dimension that we're in right now, so that's many different dimensions that we cannot see. Now we may be able to perceive them, but we can't physically see them or touch them. And we may be able to sense them, and yet the third dimension is the dimension of birth. And when we birth the child, we bring the spirit from those other realms into this 3D, physical, tangible dimension. Effacement is defined as the thinning of the cervix. The thinning and shortening of the cervix, as well as the softening of the cervix. The cervix going from the tissues of a hard, nose or even knuckle-like consistency into a lip, very soft tissue that's able to expand and open for a baby to come through. So why are we talking about effacement in regards to spiritualization of matter? When we're holding an idea, a concept, something that's been given to us from another dimension that's beyond the reach or the grasp or the scope of the physical dimension in terms of its totality. Because when we're in the third dimension, we may get signs, we may get symbols, we may get downloads, what some people call downloads, where we just receive information, because in another dimension, another level, conscious level of reality, we are also there. That's our spirit occupying that space. And thus in the physical dimension, if we choose to accept and receive that spiritualization, we begin to hold that within ourselves. And I am equating this with the concept of holding a fetus in the womb, because it is really the same exact thing. The fetus is just a physicalization of a spiritual essence that has decided to individuate itself into a human being and come into this reality. It has made the choice. It has chosen you. That baby has chosen you, and you have chosen that baby to be birthed through you. And it's a very beautiful reciprocity that you create with the child, especially when you're aware of your body and your connection to yourself and to that being that is literally being nourished and grown by your body and by your spirit and your soul. So because I'm using terminology that is ambiguous, something people who are critical of spiritual traditions are very scientific orientated. So one of my biggest battles as a previously atheist, totally materialist person has been combining spirituality and science. And quantum physics and quantum entanglement totally, completely explains any doubt that there is a so-called spiritual reality that we're experiencing simultaneously to this physical reality. So when I say spirit and a soul, what do I mean by that? And I'm going to put that in the terms of birth work, in the terms of sexual reproduction, because that actually makes the most sense to me in the way that I've experienced spirit and soul. So soul is the body, soul is the house, soul is the temple, and soul comes from the mother, soul comes from the mitochondria, the matriarchal lineage. It's the house, it's the egg. And the spirit is the father's lineage through the sperm. So when the sperm and the soul or the egg come together, you get a child, you get a being. And so us as all beings, we have a soul and a spirit. And some of us come from different spiritual and solar traditions, and we unify them. And in our collections of consciousness, we're able to connect the dots between our soul and spiritual units and traditions. And so teaching about these and learning about these different traditions of the world when it comes to spirituality is very beneficial for both soul and spirit, because you're able to possibly fill in the gaps of different lifetimes that you've lived. And we come into this reality with the conscious awareness that has been around multiple times for many people. We've been here many times. Some of us have been here since the beginning of life on earth, and it's impossible to tap into that awareness, that ancient primordial awareness of ourselves, if we don't even believe that it's possible, and we only see the physical reality. That's a huge limitation, and it's a limitation in birth too, because when we set these limitations that are based on the physical vessel, sometimes we feel like we can't do it. We can't bring this life into the world. And when we step into that state of being beyond the body while also being in it, we're able to release those hormones that our body naturally creates, and we're allowed to feel safe, and we're allowed to bring that baby here because we know that's what we have chosen to do, and our body was made for it. Our body was meant for this. The body is the temple of the earth, and the soul and spirit is the temple of the cosmos. And there's really no difference there. And because we live in a world of duality and dichotomy, sometimes, in a lot of traditions, there's this division between heaven and earth, or the divine and the human. But really, we're all the same. We come from the cosmos, we come from God. So we are God, we are cosmic. And the only way to actualize that is to be in unity and harmony with all beings that are around us. And living in a world that is full of cruelty, greed, and suffering, it's sometimes difficult to navigate being in unity, because we are constantly being bombarded with pain and suffering from the beings around us and ourselves. So that's why this type of awareness is important to bring to the forefront, because we all have the power to work together to create more unity and harmony and peace and kindness in our world. It's in our ability, it's in our awareness as human beings. It's natural to us to love. And it's also natural to abuse when we feel scarce and we feel afraid. And the only thing we can do is be able to heal those parts of ourselves, because the parts of us is not definitive of who we are as beings, because God is perfect, creation is perfect, and we are God, we are creation. So why couldn't we also step into that divinity that has been given to us by our Creator, by the spark of life that was put in us? When we were first created, we were first inseminated into the womb. The perfect container, the perfect nourisher, the perfect lover for us to grow us and bring us here into this perfect experience. So that's a little bit about spiritualization and effacement of birth. We will continue the series with the conjunction of any questions or comments and any sort of necessary expansions that need to happen in regards to information given and received. Because when I give information, I'm not telling you this is how it is, and I'm not saying that you must believe me. I'm saying look into the information, do your own research, and come to your own conclusions. And I'm sharing simply because I feel that I've gathered enough, I've matriculated, and I want to give birth to a spiritualized matter in the form of information in this technological age. So thank you for listening, and thank you for anything that you may want to contribute to this work.